Hey, if you're like me and have had so many failed attempts at growing a yard, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I did my yard this year, 2019. You can see some of that all around me. I'm long-winded, so I've had to put this video into two parts. And if you're really interested in learning what I did, I suggest you watch both parts. And I'll give you a heads up when it's time to watch the second video. Thank you. Does your yard look like this when all your neighbors are planting their fall seed? If you have a situation like this, I can empathize with you because this is what I've got. I got some nut grass, crabgrass. Over here I got no grass other than straw that's been down for a month and a half. Yeah, it's sad. What do we do about this? Well, I'm going to tell you what I did. What do you think about this? Yeah, not bad. Did I use magic? Heck no. Did I make mistakes? Heck yeah. And you probably will too. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a lawn guy. My claim to fame is that I'm a recreational fisherman. Other than that, I don't have much to offer. But I can tell you what I did here so that you can get similar results. Let's start from the beginning. First of all, let's talk about conditions. Right now, it's just about the first week in October. And as you can see, the leaves are still on most of my trees. I have an elm tree that has lost some of its leaves. But for the most part, you can say this is dense shade. This is horrible conditions to grow a fescue type grass, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. I've tried for 13 years to get grass to grow here without success. For 13 years, the only thing that worked for me was wait till around Thanksgiving when all the leaves were off the tree. I'd blow them out of the way and plant annual ryegrass, which got plenty of sun with no leaves on the trees. But then in the summertime, that all died. And then I was faced with a situation like I showed you at the beginning of this video. In addition to the fact I have probably 95 to 99% shade on my property, I got to tell you, I started this project about the middle of August in 2019. Since then, I don't think we've even had a handful of days that didn't approach 90 degrees. And the only rain I've had in the past 6 weeks has been about 1.5 inches, maybe close to 2 inches, when the Hurricane Dorian came up the North Carolina coast. Other than that, zero help from Mother Nature. So I would say this is pretty bad conditions. And if I can grow a yard like this under these conditions, maybe you'll have good luck too. Now, I'm going to tell you what I did. Again, I want to remind you, I'm not a yard guy. I'm just going to tell you what I did that worked, and it might work for you, okay? First of all, you need to take a look at your ground. Is it plantable? I had areas here in my yard that were so hard, I don't think you could even drill through it. This used to be a trailer park. Everything you see out here, this used to be trailer park. Not that long ago, say 10, 12 years ago. Since I've lived here, the trailers have been moved. But people were parking everywhere, including where I live. There were cars in almost every inch of open space out here. It was packed solid. This is a Sunjoe tiller. I can't remember what I paid for it, but I bought it from Amazon. And what a great job it does for digging up hard ground. And I would suggest that maybe you get one of these if you've got something that you can't push a spike into by hand. If you got to get a sledgehammer to drive a spike into your yard, you might want to consider a tiller to at least give you a head start on things. After you till your soil, or if you don't need to till your soil, I cannot say enough about this Sunjoe Scarfire and dethatcher. Yeah, I use the dethatcher a little bit, but you know, I don't have a beautiful yard. When I started with this Sunjoe, I had crap. So I just put I put the dethatcher prongs on there just to see how they work. But for me, the Scarfire are the blades you need if you're trying to do a complete renovation. If you've already got a pretty good yard, you don't even need to watch this video. I'm talking about people who are suffering, who have something they're ashamed of. All right, let me turn this Sunjoe over and I'll show you what the blades look like. I think I've already published 1 or 2 videos about the Sunjoe Scarfire and dethatcher, but you can see they're blades that look almost like a propeller. I've about worn mine out. Done about an acre out here. You can order a spare part for that. You can order another Scarfire cylinder for less than $30 from Amazon. And I don't know it. I know the thing's guaranteed. I haven't tried, asking them to send me a new one for free, because there's no doubt in my mind. I won't say I abuse this thing, but I probably put it to more use than the typical resident will do. So I didn't feel bad about just going ahead and buying my own replacement cylinder. This thing will cut slits in your yard. Is that important? Oh yeah, that's very important if you're going to reseed or do a new seed. I'm trying to find a little section of my yard that hasn't been seeded very long. I did it in sections, and I don't know if you can see how the grass seems to be coming up in rows, almost like a farmer's field, like a cornfield or something. In my opinion, I don't think that grass would have come up if it had not been in those furrows produced by the Sunjoe Scarfire. I mean, I've done the entire property with the Sunjoe, and I can tell you that when that stuff first comes up, it's amazing, absolutely amazing, the results you get if you have scarified your yard. When I say scarified, that means cut little grooves in it, things almost like a rake. You can go anywhere from about 1/4 of an inch to almost a 1/2 inch deep. And I think that is critical to starting a new yard. Can you see how this brand new grass, this just came up this morning, can you see how it has germinated exactly in line with the furrows cut by the Sunjoe Scarfire? It looks like a miniature farm if I was flying in an airplane. I'll try and get a different angle. I'm not a photographer. I really don't know how the sun is affecting this shot. Get you a little closer. Can you see that? We'll try a different angle. Okay, here's another section. See how the rows go just like this. Exactly the way I scarified the yard. Every time I turn the Sunjoe on a curve, that's the way the grass is growing. Now what does that mean? That tells me that if I had not scarified this yard, the stage of germination would probably be exactly as you see it where there is no grass growing today. But since I started using the Sunjoe, this has happened in every section of my yard that I scarified. I'll walk over here and show you the results of scarifying in less than 3 weeks. Hands down, this Sunjoe scarifier and dethatcher. I don't know much about the dethatcher, but I'm going to tell you this Sunjoe scarifier setup is the absolute best tool I've ever found in my whole life, and I'm an old man. The absolute best tool I've ever used to get a new lawn germinated. If you read the bag on any seed you purchase, it's going to tell you to do stuff that the average homeowner is not going to do. You're not going to cover your seed with a 1/4 inch of dirt. That's a lot of work, and that's a lot of expense. You're going to be out there with a rake for 30 or 40 hours? Heck no. But with a scarifier, I can do close to 200 feet a minute. Yeah. I can go up and down these rows, 50-foot rows, and about a 50-foot row in about 15, 20 seconds at the most. And you do the math. You know, in 1 minute, that's 4 times 15, 60 seconds. A 50-footer leg, 200 feet, 200 linear feet with this thing. Try doing that with your garden rake. All right. This is about $115 on Amazon. And I've already posted videos about it, but I broke my first one. The customer service was excellent. They sent me a new one. It actually arrived within 2 or 3 hours from the time that I had returned the old one. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a mistake. I called them and they said, no. When you said you needed a replacement, we went ahead and sent it to you. Well, it took me a day or two to take my old one down to Kohl's to turn it in. You can't ask for better customer service. Nobody can, well, I guess they do guarantee that it's going to work properly for you, but that's why they have the guarantee. Buy this thing from Amazon, you can't go wrong. If something happens bad, just contact them. They'll make it right for you. We're still talking about equipment and tools you might need if you're doing a complete lawn renovation. And again, I'm not a lawn expert, but I've owned plenty of seed spreaders. I had a Drought spreader that I was going to use this year, and the wheels wouldn't turn. I got my hose out and cleaned it out, and I looked down there by the spindle and discovered there was a snake wrapped around it. That's what was stopping it from turning everything. So I went ahead and went up to one of my, home improvement stores here in North Carolina. I'm sure you have them wherever you live. And I bought the Scott's Turf Builder Edge Guard DLX. I assume that means deluxe. It's a broadcast spreader. And what it means by edge guard is this little deal here on the handle, either off or on. If you turn it on, it's only going to broadcast in one direction. That way you can go up and down your sidewalk or driveway and not waste your seed or fertilizer or whatever you're putting out. This thing has a dial that's very easy to read, very easy to set. It's not like one of those darn wheels that some spreaders have up here where you're trying to dial the right number. And it's heavy duty. I mean, I have put probably more than 40 pounds in here at a time. There are some products that you might use on your yard that weigh a heck of a lot. I have put more than a bag in here. I'm not advising you to do it, but I'm just telling you that I've been pushing these things to the limit, and I've had absolutely no problems with this Scott's Turf Builder Edge Guard Deluxe. can't tell you what it costs. It ain't cheap. You know, if I had to make a guess, I'd probably say between $50 and $80. And I could be way off on that price. It's been a while since I bought it, and I didn't care. I've owned so many spreaders, and they don't work. You know, I go to put lime out, and next thing I know, they just lock up. The gears are broke on it. This is what you need if you want a beautiful lawn and not have to stop and go replace equipment. The next step in getting your lawn ready to do a overall seeding would be some lawn fertilizer. Now, I bought this at Walmart because it was on sale. You know how Walmart is. To them, 4th of July means the end of grass growing season. However, to the rest of us, it doesn't start for another 2 months. And they'll have the Christmas decorations up by the time you get ready to start your lawn. So I think I paid $13 for this 42-pound bag. I also bought some other fertilizer for like $9 a bag. You can get it dirt cheap at the end of the summer. But I'm not recommending you use this type of fertilizer. I'm just saying that you can get this fertilizer cheap, whether you want to start your yard with it or not. You'll see 3 numbers on a bag of fertilizer, and just think up, down, and all around. So the nitrogen provides a nice green up. The phosphorus or the potash is the down, builds good roots. And the potassium or the K, the 3rd number that you'll see on a bag of fertilizer, it's just for overall good health. Helps it absorb the right minerals and everything. Just so happens that this particular bag of fertilizer is really, really lacking in root growth. So I would suggest you go ahead, if you're going to start a lawn, go ahead and invest the money in some starter fertilizer. Make sure you read the bag, and it says that it's okay to put this down when you sod or seed a new lawn. Years ago, I bought some stuff that was listed by Scott's. I'll go ahead and say their name, Scott's. Called it starter fertilizer. And it absolutely prevented any of my grass seed from germinating because it contains some sort of weed preventer. No, that's not what you need. You need something that the bag actually says you can go ahead and put it on your yard at the time you're doing a seeding. That means you don't want something that's going to have any kind of herbicide in it. Makes sense now, but I went down that road and messed up. So get you a good bag of fertilizer. And you've already made your furrows. Go ahead and after that, throw the fertilizer out. Possibly the most important factor in growing a beautiful yard under harsh conditions would be the grass seed you begin with. This is the Jonathan Green Black Beauty Ultra Supreme Grass Seed Blend. It says it's got roots that can grow up to 4 foot deep. That's what you're looking at here. I won't say these roots are 4 foot deep yet. No, this is my first season with this yard. But I had no problem getting the stuff to germinate. And here we are. I started this project in, middle of August. Hasn't gotten any cooler. Haven't had any rain. I have done some irrigation. But so far so good on this Black Beauty Ultra. I've got a separate video on it. If you're curious about this particular brand of grass seed, I suggest go ahead and search for Black Beauty Ultra on my YouTube, and you'll see what I went through to get this stuff to grow. It was so easy. Jonathan Green also offers a dense shade blend of fescue grass, and I tried that in the beginning. I got dense shade. I figured, well, that sounds like the ticket for me. and I didn't have great success with it. And I want to apologize to Jonathan Green for any negative comments I may have made about that grass, because I discovered that I had a bad grub problem. And we're going to talk about that next. But I just want to say that I didn't want to go ahead and buy another bag of the Dense Shade, because I'd already tried it and did not have stellar results. So I just used the Black Beauty Ultra. And I don't know if I could ask for anything more than what I'm looking at here. So even if you have Dense Shade, this may be an option for you. You can go ahead and try the Dense Shade Grass Seed Blend by Jonathan Green. And as long as you don't have things eating the roots off of it, it might even do better than this. But what a great grass seed. Best I've ever used. Now this little section right here is what a new yard can look like after a month or so if you've got grubs. I haven't treated this part yet, but I'm going to show you some products and make a recommendation on what you ought to buy, or at least what worked for me and what did not work. First product I want to address is this Spectracide Triazicide insect killer for lawns. Season-long control, and as you can see, it's got a little sketch of a grub down there, and fleas, ticks, ants, everything else. Okay, great. Kills 100+ insects. Treats up to 25,000 square feet. Yeah, I bought 2 bags of this at Walmart. It was on sale, and I have to say it did absolutely nothing as far as killing grubs that I could see. And my lawn continued to deteriorate. So we'll go to the next product. This is the Bio Advanced Complete Insect Killer. Protects your lawn from top to bottom. Kills soil insects for up to 3 months. This little 10-pound bag treats up to 10,000 square feet. It says Bio Advanced. I think they are advanced. Some company bought them out and they changed the label on it. So if you're on Amazon looking for a grub killer, you're really likely to see this bag show up. This is not what you need if it's in the autumn and you see evidence of grubs that are eating your brand new grass. This is not what you need. I've got a bag I'm saving till spring. This is more like a preventative treatment. And I don't have fleas. I don't have anything else. My problem is grubs. So you can talk to, a lawn tech and ask him what he thinks about putting this out. But I'm going to tell you right now, I put it out, and after 2 days, I counted 7 dead grubs in my yard. And I followed the directions explicitly. And based on my prior experience with killing bugs, spent 20 years in pest control, I didn't think this was what I actually needed. So let me show you what worked. You're looking at the silver bullet right here. Bio Advanced. Same company that made this one we just talked about. 24-hour grub killer. 24-hour grub killer. Key words right there. Kills grubs within 24 hours. This is what you need. The big picture here is the grub. This other stuff we ain't worried about right now. We are worried about these boogers. Also available on Amazon. But look, here's a little side note. I bought this bag for $19 on Amazon. I shopped around a little bit on there and found this same bag for $39. Something ain't right with that. You know, how can one bag be $19 and the other one $39? It's just a ripoff. 19 bucks is a great price to pay for this product that works. I put this out one evening, and the next morning, just walking from my front porch out to my car, it's not that far, I counted 132 dead grubs, dead or dying grubs. The birds had a field day out here. And it continued to kill for about 2 or 3 days. Then all I had to do was just water again. And I got excellent results. It's like a 1-2 punch. When you water, it sort of dissolves the granules. This is a granulated product. So go ahead and put it out. Water heavily. When I say heavily, you know, not to the point that it's running off into your ditch, but, you know, maybe a ½ inch of water on it, which is a little more than you normally water your yard. And then a few days later, go ahead and put another ½ inch out. Get this stuff down into the roots if you've got your grass already started. And if you use that Jonathan Green grass, within a week, you could consider it started. It's going to be almost ready to cut after a week. Very important to understand the difference between this 24-hour kill and this long-term 3-month product. Bio Advance, think same thing as Bayer Advance. 24-hour killer plus. This is what you need to buy. Anytime you do a reseeding or a new seeding, you're going to have to put water on it. I mean, unless you're living in the floodplain where you're getting rain all the time, and I don't think we have that over here in the southeast, at least not in the mid-Atlantic states. This has been a dry stretch for us. You're going to have to turn your sprinkler on and water your grass. Some places recommend twice a day. You know, what you're looking for is probably an inch a week. And I started out watering mine every day for the first week, and then after that, because I share a well with my neighbors, and I have run this well dry before when I had a swimming pool, I just didn't want to abuse the privilege, and I just started watering 2 or 3 times a week and tried to get an inch down per week, and it seemed good enough. You need a hose, a heavy-duty hose. I believe this is about 3/4 inch. I would say that's the minimum you need. And you need something that's not going to crimp up every time you go to move the darn thing. And you know the kind of hose I'm talking about. You've probably owned a dozen of them if you're a homeowner. The kind that, you know, you buy a 50-foot hose for $10, $15 somewhere at your local discount store. No. Get something that's not going to crimp. And they're not that much more expensive. And I would say, depending on your yard, you're probably going to need a couple of 100 feet of this. What? Yeah, a couple of 100 feet of hose and a hose splitter. And that way you won't have to be moving your darn sprinklers around constantly. You can have your hoses going in all different directions, and you don't have to use them all at once. You probably couldn't use them all at once because you probably don't have enough water pressure. But go ahead and get enough hose to go from your water source out to the farthest end of your property, and then think about going to the other direction. Have enough hose to go out there too. Thank you for hanging in there. We've talked a lot about what it's going to take to get your yard started, you know, as far as tilling it up or maybe just scarifying it. But I do have a part 2 where we get into sprinklers and hoses and this, that, and the other. I hope if you're really interested in getting your yard right this year, especially if you've had problems in the past, that you'll go ahead and search for part 2. I've never done a 2-part video before. I'm kind of really ignorant about YouTube. I'm not a YouTuber. And anyhow, I just want to say thank you for watching so much of this. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more, search for part 2. I don't know how to link that to you. You just have to search for it on my station. And I think you'll find something that might be helpful to you, especially when it comes to those sprinklers. Have a good day.